Hi there, I'm Aaron, and welcome to the Cult of Cinema Streaming Wars. It's going to start at least as a Crimson Cult exclusive, or at least a timed exclusive for for the Patreon channel. For those that are unaware, and it's probably most of you because I've been doing this for a while, for the last 8 or 9 months, I have been subscribing and diving into different streaming services, be it mainstream or niche, and pretty much recording and writing down my experiences, what I thought of each of the services that I've done, of the channels, how I feel they will go and how they will last. So to put it to you, kind of bluntly, I started this quite a long time ago, and it's been an ongoing, longer project. In fact, my website deep dives that you've been seeing going on since early January. That my first time I didn't get to do one was this Monday because I was under the weather. But that was kind of a pilot to what this is. And sometimes I'll just be talking about the services. Other times we're actually going to go to the website and look at them and see the content. I've been trying to get around to doing this for a while. I'm a physical media collector. That's where my love is. But that being said, I grew up on TV, on cable TV. We had like the big satellite dish, all that type of stuff, and I never see streaming as something that replaces the collecting. It was never meant to. Streaming is something that replaces cable, and that looks like it's where we're going with the whole thing. So I've been waiting to do it. I've had videos that I've started on things like Stack TV and Acorn and Quibi. Remember Quibi? But I wanted to pick the right time and I guess the right service to do it with. Then Disney launched Star. And I've been diving into that over the last few days. In between when I'm watching my films or when I'm working or when I'm doing a video on here. So that's where I wanted to go. So right now, what we're going to do, I want to make sure that it works. Yep. Is we are going to look at Disney Plus, and it's been called the Netflix killer recently, but previously to that, Disney Plus was considered the Mandalorian channel, the niche channel, the one you got for a season of a show, and then you got rid of until that next season came up. That has changed. That has changed a lot, and that has changed dramatically in a very short period of time. There were acquisitions that were made behind the scenes, things that we knew were kind of coming. See, it all started when Disney acquired Hulu. Now, Hulu, for you over there in the U.S., is, that it was a cable killer. It basically, it was a cut the cord type of thing. If you had Hulu, and I was able to get it for a little while, though unfortunately not very long because you're really strict with your Hulu regulations over there. Once you had Hulu, you didn't need like cable TV. There was live TV that came the next day. There were exclusive shows, including for those who are soap opera fans, the Prospect Park, All My Children, One Life to Live series that unfortunately only went one season. There's a lot. There was prior to Criterion's own, like a channel like they have right now. There was a Criterion style channel over on Hulu, and a whole bunch of other things. So how does that kind of play into here and what we're talking about tonight? Well, Hulu is something that can be bundled along with ESPN, which is a sports channel over in the US, in the United States. Now, in Canada and the UK, due to certain like programming rights issues, Hulu wasn't as big an option. And every time that Disney worked on trying to make Hulu a thing in other countries, it seemed that places like that are really monopolies, places over here like Bell with their Crave's streaming service, or Rogers Cable, and I'm sure probably places in the UK as well that are very tight when it comes to their the way that they take programming. It kept us from getting it, and so eventually, I think what Disney decided to do was give us a different option, and that became the genesis to Star. After the Hulu thing, Disney also ended up buying and acquiring. My cats are running around crazy right now. The library to Fox, and that opened up a lot of doors. But one thing you gotta understand is that people are saying, "So what are they going to do? Is this all going to go on Hulu?" Like, yeah, to a certain extent, it is. How's this going to work for other countries? You can't put like an X-Files on Disney Plus. Not just, it's Disney. They're never going to do that. That's not a thing that they can do. But with like adult content locks and parental regulations, it was a thing that they could do, and it's a thing that they did, and they did it brilliantly. See, I never thought that Disney Plus was going to be my place to go if I wanted to watch Criminal Minds, for instance. And it is. And I say Criminal Minds not just as pulling a show out of the air. No, not at all. Because Criminal Minds is one of those shows, those franchise shows, that is extremely important when it comes to having a streaming service. You have to have at least one, preferably many. But shows like the Law and Order franchise, Criminal Minds, CSI, a lot of these procedurals, these are meant to be. They're not like the mystery type sometimes, where basically you can watch them and then down the road you can go and you can watch it again. These are meant to be rewatchable shows. These are shows that are meant for to be able to be marathoned, to be seen over and over again. They've lasted long enough, in the case of Criminal Minds, I think it's 11 seasons, to have a connection with the audience that watches it, and it becomes your comfort show, a program that you go back to, like Seinfeld or The Office, again and again. It feels like putting on a comfortable warm sweater, or meeting up with an old friend. And having these in your corner is a key to a successful streaming service. There are a lot of streaming services that have some amazing stuff that are out there, but without these key components, that's why when you see like a streaming service tout that they got The Office, like Peacock did, or they got Seinfeld, or they've acquired Friends. That's why that becomes such a big deal. That's why that's such a caveat when it comes to that. So let's look at Disney Plus. Let's go over a couple of their shows and programs, and what I see as some key points in their strategy, and pretty much give them a scorecard. Like I told you before, I've been working on this Streaming Wars segment for my show for about 8 or 9 months now. The yearly scorecards that I started giving to the companies, the website deep dives, all were components that I knew were going to come into this video. So hopefully you'll enjoy it, because I'll be honest with you, it's one of the things I've probably worked my hardest on in the last little while. So let's dive right in. Let's look at Disney Plus. Let's look at Star. Let's look at the different panels, and I'll give you my thoughts and my ideas on some of this, and hopefully you enjoy this. Let me know if this is something that you like. I've been working on it for a long time. I do want to go through. Disney is Plus Star is the first one. This is the pilot episode, but I want to look into all of them, whether it be Netflix or Acorn or Criterion. So your favorite service that you use is probably going to be looked at, reviewed, given a score on here. But Disney Plus with WandaVision and Star is in the zeitgeist right now. So I figure that's the best one to start with. You can hear my cat meowing in the background because catnip, that's why. ready to dive in, because here we go. So as you can see, when you're looking at the Disney Plus page right away, you can see that there's a lot of different stuff on here, like 911, and I think there's one called 911 Lone Star. So I'm going to add a profile. Like, they offer up the chance when you go into it to add a profile. The reason they do that is because you can have like a profile, a family profile, a profile for your kids, for them, and a profile for the adults as well. So where I'm seeing 911, and I'm seeing stuff like the Criminal Minds up on here. If, say, for instance, you've got a young child, they wouldn't see that. It's not something that would be an issue. Disney Plus has been very much the innovator when it comes to this. When it comes to the channels like Netflix, we'll get into those stream services like Netflix. We'll get into those down the road, but there's a reason that Disney has been successful as it is. So we're just going through here right now. As you can see, WandaVision is which of course is the most popular series that they have on their channel. We got the all 5 seasons of the Muppet Show, complete and uncensored. We'll have like a lot of the Disney shows, Pirate Kings, the Marvel stuff where Disney is bought out Marvel. You have all the Marvel shows on here, pretty much Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. As you can see down here, Star Highlights, complete Futurama, Criminal Minds, 911. These are shows that resonate with people. Blackish. These are the things that you need. Scrubs, Empire, shows that are going to make a dent. Things that people go back to. You're going to watch some of these series like once or maybe once or twice. You're going to come back to them a while later. So Disney has been able to have their movies, both live action and animated, and had their kid shows, and they brought people in with that, and they've slowly brought people in with the Marvel shows and the Star Wars shows as well, and they're working on expanding those, and they've taken the shows that came before them, whether it be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Star Wars Rebels or the Clone Wars, and actually added that to the pantheon of the new shows, so that they padded out to the point where even if the new Star Wars or Marvel show isn't going on, there is a plethora of other shows of that ilk if you're so interested in looking into them. Now, some of these are going to be like 1-time or 2-time watches. That's why it became so important to see something like Star come up on the Disney Channel. It was a key component that they had been missing with their service. As you look down through here, it'll give you like suggestions. It's extremely well done, and I have to say they looked around at the other stream services for sure before they like settled on theirs. They took their time with this, and they plotted this out pretty insanely well. As you can see, Bones, again, we got another franchise show, Lie to Me, Burn Notice, The Killing, all the Criminal Minds series from Suspect Behavior to the Beyond Borders are on here. And then there's like some probably less known shows like Stumptown, Body Proof, some short-lived shows like Wicked City, The Glades, but then you have like shows like White Collar again, 911 Lone Star. I think some of those are actually still going on. And if I remember this correctly, you guys can let me know if I'm wrong. 24 is here. Sleepy Hollow, which is a fun little series. I haven't seen Station ID, but I've seen commercials and it intrigued me. And then older shows like Hill Street Blues. So there's quite a lot of programming to look into here. As you can see, there we have the Disney like stalwarts. The stuff when you think of Disney, you think of things like maybe The Incredibles and their new one from Pixar, which is Souls. There's things like Frozen, the Finding Nemo, the classics, all the stuff that you want for your kids, or just something that makes you feel like a kid at heart, is here. All those shows that you grew up with, all those cartoons, they're on here. The Little Mermaid, or they're being rolled out. There's still a lot of shows that aren't on here. The Weekenders, for instance, and Pepper Ann are two early Disney shows that still have not come onto the Disney Plus channel. They're very careful about like how they're rolling out these programming, especially before Star. They had to be extremely careful because they didn't want to show all their hand at once. They were the streaming service that had like the Disney movies, Mandalorian, and The Simpsons, and that's kind of what they were known for. If you were a Disney fan, if you liked the Disney stuff, if you like Star Wars and Marvel, you were safe. You were some places to go. But a lot of people had some of or a lot of this stuff, and some people in the early onset of this would pretty much just get it for like a short period of time, and then say, okay, when Mandalorian's over, I'll get it again when Mandalorian comes back on. That's all changed. They've plotted out their Marvel aspect of it extremely well. After WandaVision concludes, which I think is this week, then shortly after you're going to get Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Following that is Loki, which follows that I think is What If, etc., etc., etc. So there's not going to be very big of a break between each of the Marvel series, and there's always going to be something for like a fan of like Marvel, for instance, or that type of stuff to come on for. And for people that weren't really a big fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the way of basically they weren't into, or they were kind of tired of the last 10 years of like just these event action style movies, the Marvel planned it out perfectly with Disney so that their first series wasn't going to be what people expected. WandaVision was not the norm. It was not your typical Marvel show. The start of the series, pretty much it opened it up with a show that said, okay, you don't exactly know what to expect. We're not always going to go in the comfortable places that you remember. If the first few phases of Marvel was the age of science, then we're going into the age of magic. There are a ton of like films on here, whether it be comedy, science fiction, even horror. I never thought I'd say I could watch the Hills Have Eyes remakes on Disney Plus, but I can. Gone in 60 Seconds, Unbreakable. I think all Shyamalan's films are on here. You can go back to watch things like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the good seasons of it. And a lot of shows like X-Men is obviously one of the cartoons from kind of from my generation, from the generation kind of under me. But I grew up watching it. Well, I had a kid when when X-Men and Spider-Man started. But when one of them started anyway. So but it was something that I watched. I remember rocking my daughter to sleep when she was young, on Saturday mornings, sitting back and watching like X-Men or watching like Spider-Man. And they're all here, all of them. The short-lived but much maligned, sadly, Silver Surfer one that didn't last long enough. The Avenger shows, the ones that are better and the ones that aren't as good, are here. The 2-season Incredible Hulk, the Iron Man series, which is pretty much just Force Works. It's if you're a comic book geek, you'll get that reference. If you don't, it won't matter. The 80s Spider-Woman series. There's a ton of stuff when it comes to Marvel, but you already knew that. But also there's a ton of documentaries. Documentaries on the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. We knew there was documentaries on National Geographic, and there was certain ones that you'd see. But most of the time, I think National Geographic, you're thinking a lot of the nature documentaries. And I grew up like reading National Geographic as a kid. I was fascinated with it. But with the channel here, you're getting a lot of different stuff. Documentaries on all kinds of subjects, and it's really good, really fascinating stuff. Whether it be space with the real right stuff, or you're looking at Free Solo. The documentary on Taylor Swift, Looking for Richard with Al Pacino, or you're looking at something like just the super like interesting like documentaries on, I don't know, really, like basically on nature, on animals. They're all on here. A lot of the franchises that families watch together, whether it be Parts of the Caribbean, we've already said Marvel, they're the National Treasure films, the two of those. There's a lot of that stuff on here as well. One of the big inroads that Disney made, and one of the ways that they innovated, and that I thought was brilliant, and I hope that they follow up with this, is that they spent quite an amount of money to bring Hamilton to our screens. Initially, I'm thinking that this was probably meant to be a feature film release that would have eventually gone to the Disney Plus service. Because of things that happened, it went a different route. It actually came on here. I'm hoping that this is the start of a trend. There's a lot of musicals that we don't get the chance to see, Broadway musicals. And rather than always seeing some glossed up, polished Hollywood version of it that takes pretty much everything out, if you've ever been in the play Grease and you saw the film, you know there's some big differences, including songs that are missing, etc. Then we can actually see, be given the seats and get to see the best possible version we can of certain musicals. Ones that I hope that they eventually do are, high on the list. Heather's a musical. That's probably one of the best. Carrie is actually a fun one as well. There's a ton of musicals that they can do, whether it be like Phantom of the Opera, and not Gerard Butler, but an actual Phantom of the Opera, or if it's too late for that, I'm not sure. But there are ones that hopefully they're already working on that can be done. It's a big deal. And we'll get down to the stuff for the kids, the Disney stuff. But let's look up here at the panels. You'll notice that we're going to go really fast. I hope it'll make you dizzy. There's Disney, which is the Disney programming. We have Pixar here. I like the fact that they're animated panels. There's Marvel with the Marvel opening, Star Wars, National Geographic, and Star. So let's look in the Star first, because that's kind of the big one here. So this is the most recent one. This is where you see stuff that you wouldn't normally see. This is the what you call the quote-unquote adult content when it comes to come here. We have shows like Family Guy. We have Criminal Minds, Cougar Town. Shows like Felicity, which my better half would have grown up with, open in college and watching, I guess. Things like Bones, which you mentioned before, The Killing, a very dark, kind of Nordic noir type show, because that's what it's based on, a Nordic noir. We have we have whole franchises like the new Planet of the Apes franchise here. Things like Love Victor, Bob's Burgers is on here. A new one that came from, and it's a Hulu exclusive, called Solar Opposites. So if you're a fan of Rick and Morty, you're gonna love Solar Opposites. It actually has pretty much the same voice cast as Rick and Morty, and it has some of the same creators on it as well. Not Dan Harmon, but some of the guys that wrote Rick and Morty actually created a series called Solar Opposites, and I definitely recommend it. It's a lot of fun. You can see they have some like weird, quirky things here, like Napoleon Dynamite's like animated series. You're seeing like romantic comedies, everything from Farther Abroad, which you would assume is for Disney, to things like Fever Pitch and 27 Dresses, like ones you're saying, okay, I can see some of these being like Disney films. Then you get into things like that, okay, you didn't expect to see on Disney. 911, Empire, short-lived like sci-fi shows like Emergence. We got the complete Whedonverse. Whether you like Joss Whedon or not, his TV shows were pretty well done. Buffy, Angel, Firefly, they're all on here. My So-Called Life was a big one back when I was younger, and things like 911 Lone Star as well. The spin-off series is here. There's a ton of programs on here. You can watch, and there's shows that you can watch over and over again. Let's go into one of these, for instance. Let's just say Grand Hotel. I think it's one of those short-lived like soap opera ones. I'm pretty sure one of the guys from General Hospital was on this actually. So this is Grand Hotel. This is a soap opera. This I think about will last one season, or maybe last long, but there's only one season on here. So you hit on suggested, for instance. So if you liked Grand Hotel, there's things like this complete series Revenge, Devious Maids. Not gonna lie, I actually love that. That was kind of the guy that did Desperate Housewives did this series. I think Evelyn Gorey actually produced this one. So you got like a bunch of shows here that they suggest. Empire, Brothers and Sisters, the complete series, where it wasn't always my thing, but I know that there was a lot of people that really love that show. There's a ton of action films, anything from Independence Day, Resurgence. Well, I wouldn't. Let's go with the original Independence Day. I think that's on here too. Armageddon, Chronicle. Chronicle is actually fantastic. They have like a bunch of these. All the Die Hard movies are on here, but you had to go in and unlock it. You had to go in and like set up your TVMA portion of it when you got it first, because if you had it initially, they don't want kids to see some of the other stuff. So basically, anything that was over PG-13, you went the thing popped up on your screen just once, and actually they said, do you want to unlock TVMA content, or do you want to make a new profile for it? Which I thought was actually a pretty brilliant way to do it. As you can see, there's a lot of films on here, and not just like little films, but really, really good films. Films that may be considered like Criterion level of films. And I'm going to say like Raising Arizona, which some people may not think is Criterion-ish, but but there are some really, really extremely well done movies on here that I definitely would recommend. Look at the horror right now. I see the Shyamalan films are here, you know, but there's other things. You got like Dark Water. You'll have really kind of The Hills Have Eyes is on here. I wonder if I got it unlocked on this one yet. So I'll show you. Or do I have to? No, I gotta go in there, I think. So basically, right now, as you can see on this device, I don't yet have it unlocked for TVMA. So what I have to do, and we'll come back here for a second, is I have to unlock it for TVMA. So if you put down a new device, what you want to make sure is, so I'm going to add a profile, and I am going to make myself. Oh, do I want to make myself Vision? I may not want to do that, right? Let's make myself Spider-Man. I'm going to be Spider-Man. So you guys can't see this right now because and if I go to save that, and I put full catalog, and then you have to put your password in. So let's see how do I do this. So I'm going to say not now. I don't want to set up a pin right now. So what I'm doing right now, so can't see. So I'm going to go to the Aaron profile. And I'm going to check something just to make sure before I all right, there we did it. Okay, so perfect. So you can see me, but I was doing something there obviously with my password, and that's why I didn't put it on screen. But now you can see, if you look up there, you can see Aaron's profile. Before you saw me search for The Hills Have Eyes, nothing came up, right? Now, there you go. Right now you can see the remake to The Hills Have Eyes 2. So now when we go back to home and we go into Star, as we start to go down here, you're starting to see stuff like Homeland and Sons of Anarchy. You're seeing Die Hard, and not just Die Hard like Live Free, Die Hard. Why is that? Well, basically because Die Hard's an R-rated film. The Die Hard that you saw was PG-13. So we were looking at it under the PG-13 banner. And you're going to notice that we only saw a couple horror films, but now that's been increased tremendously. Whether it's The Omen, the Aliens franchise, Fright Night, Jennifer's Body. You can see, like, there was like 4 or 5 horror films. Now there's a lot more. And as you dive into one, then you get suggestions for others as well. That's very important. If you're just coming into Disney Plus, set up a profile to make sure that you're getting all the shows and not just getting things that are PG-13 and under. I'm glad that happened, because that's something to actually look at. So as you can see, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Wouldn't expect that on Disney, but it's here. Sadly, I don't see Shock Treatment, so I guess the rights aren't there. The Very Dark Wizard Return to Oz is here, as is the incredible, and I recommend this one, Ed Wood by Tim Burton. What a fantastic little film. So when we looked at this one here, you can see that there is a tremendous amount of programming that wasn't even opened up when we looked at this first. Everything from the complete series of How I Met Your Mother, and trust me, for some people, this is going to be the type of show that gets them to buy this service, as will be shows like MASH and Scrubs. For people of my age that grew up with shows like Blossom, that knew her way before Big Bang Theory, or X-Files, for instance, when I was going to college, that was a big show. These are huge. these are huge acquisitions that we're putting on here. This it's not just a couple of things. It is a ton of programming to have. Some people call this Disney Fox, but it's much more. Let's go back to Disney. We get into things like National Geographic, for instance. You're getting a ton of stuff here, which is the right stuff. The World According to Jeff Goldblum, which is a fun, quirky little one. Things like Brain Games, Diana in Her Own Words, Wild Hawaii, Wild Congo, The Bloody Towers, Tales of the Tower, Bloody Tales of Europe. So a lot of really cool programming is on here. A lot of great documentaries. Cosmos is on here. Star Wars. Well, you're going to get all the Star Wars stuff. It's going to be, aside from the films, you'll have all the movies on here, every one of them. You'll also get the spin-offs, the TV shows, the behind the scenes, the short films. We got things put in different collectors, Star Wars Through the Years, the Darth Vader collection, specials, Empire of Dreams. There's a documentary that was put with the Star Wars box set. Then you come to Marvel, and this is a really fun one because you get all of the Marvel shows, even things like smaller shows like Cloak and Dagger, which only lasted 2 seasons. The Runaways is on here. Some of these, unfortunately, some people didn't get to see. Now, there was one Fox one that was a mutant one. I'm not quite sure if it's on here yet or not. Legends is actually kind of a cool one. We got things like, it's only like shorts in that one. But they're Marvel Legacy Animated. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Stuff I used to watch when I was a kid. Spider-Man's 90s follow-up series, Spider-Man Unlimited. Shows that have not got a physical release, by the way, in North America. You've only seen like random episodes here and there on VHS or some DVDs, and usually in a $5 bin. Pixar is, well, they put on new stuff on Pixar, like the new Soul film. You can see the jumping thing right here. But it's a ton of stuff. And Disney, well, that's almost a given, but we'll go there anyway because we've gone everywhere else. Everything from the Muppets to the Muppets Now, which is the new series, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, The Jungle Book, Sleeping Beauty, all the classics are here. So remember when things were just in the Disney Vault and you had to wait like 5 years or so to hope, because if you missed out on a film hoping that you could get it, well, still buy those films, please, because you should. You never know when things are going to get, with something that happens, something gets taken off, something gets lost. But even the Disney nature documentaries, Disney documentaries around here. Some amazing documentaries, by the way. Short films, vintage shorts, which I watch every once in a while just to kind of come back to my youth. Sports Goofy especially. I watch a lot of those. The 90s throwback shows, everything from Tailspin to DuckTales. Even the new series of DuckTales is on here, and the films. The Annie, I don't think this is the original Annie. This is the remake Annie? Yeah, it's the remake Annie. But not the latest remake, but one that was done, I think, for TV. Might have been in the 90s. I'm not sure that was. When was this one? Yeah, 1999. Miss Hannigan is not the Miss Hannigan that I remember. But there you go. So, how about a score? If this had been about a month ago, Disney Plus probably would have been middling between a C to a C plus score. On nostalgia factor alone and just the stuff that was there, with a lot of rooms for improvement and places that they could go. By adding that one extra panel, adding panel number 6, that star panel, they have tremendously kind of upped their game. They are no longer that family alternative to Netflix that has that one good show. They are a serious and strong competitor to the top of the streaming heap. They have everything now. If you want to watch horror, if you want to watch like one of your franchise shows. I love Criminal Minds. I have a few seasons of it downstairs. I don't have the complete series yet. So it's really nice to be able to come in here and watch it, and to watch the spin-off shows as well. I really like Beyond Borders. That show should have kept going. Gary Sinise is a man. So it's with easily, I can give Disney an A. I was holding off on an A plus because they need more exclusive content and more exclusive films, but I've seen them doing that recently. That tends to be the way that they're going, but I don't give them a complete A plus right now. There's still things to do, but everything that they're doing is going in the right direction. But just because I think that there's always room for improvement. Disney is at this point, in all honesty, it's an A+ channel that's getting an A because basically I want to. They're really really good. I want to see what they're going to do with not just like Marvel shows or Star Wars shows. Star Trek, that's a different stream service. But I want to see if they're going to do anything with more adult fare. Like we see Netflix going like for Scorsese and people like that. I eventually see Disney making deals like that down the road. They don't need to do it with this amount of content though. They, especially with the Star content and then with them having so much content that they've held back on, that's still not yet on the channel. This is just a start. This is just the beginning. Star just started this month. So there you go. The very first episode of Streaming Wars. This one on based on the Star on Disney Plus with Star. I did hold off on doing this here show because I had wanted initially to start with Disney, and in the time that I've started researching the Streaming Wars program, streaming services have gone under. I'm looking at you, Quibi. So there's been changes, there's been shifts. I will still look back at Quibi as a service, and because I think it deserves its footnote in the history of streaming. We will look at the stuff that has succeeded, the stuff that's ongoing, the stuff that that has failed, and we will look together. And eventually, after I do a few of these, what I want to do, and if you like these, please let me know, because what I want to do is I want to do like a live, exclusive Patreon video on here where we're going to talk about a lot of these services, and we're going to pretty much talk about which ones we think are prime for success and the ones that we think are earmarked for failure. I am Aaron. Welcome once again to the Streaming Wars right here on your Patreon exclusive Cult of Cinema series. I will see you soon, and stay safe. Always hit the like button. Leave a comment when you can. Watch some good movies. Buy some good films. Watch some films with your family. And let me know what your favorite streaming service is and which one maybe you want me to look at here in the near future. I'll see you again soon, right here in the Crimson Cult.